I want to offer you a couple of universal qualification criteria when it comes to the selection of an amazing woman and high-quality male friends. The first one is self-esteem. It's a terrible word in one way because it's so overused, but it basically just means esteem for yourself. How good do you feel about yourself? And that comes from a variety of different sources. One, it comes from doing incredibly difficult things over and over again, but it also comes from how happy is that person within themselves. It's very difficult to have great relationships to people if they're not happy with themselves, because they're going to project that negativity onto you. So the first one is their emotional home, and I'm talking about that inner circle. I'm not talking about people you meet on the street. You can wish everybody well. You can be a courteous and nice and kind person to everybody, unless they attack you, then you have to destroy them with appropriate measures. But you can be super nice and kind, but the people who you really want to have close, you better be fucking aligned with them and they better feel fucking good about themselves. Not always, sometimes we're all gonna feel shit about ourselves, but what's their home? With Jonathan and I in particular, if one of us had a brilliant win that day and the other guy didn't, for example, I had a great win and he had a bit of a rough day for whatever reason, he's a bit stressed. I tell him something and I can see he doesn't feel an ounce of positivity for me, but his attitude, because his day was rough, so he doesn't feel fucking happy and joyful, but he's like, hey bro, fucking awesome, well done. That's what you want, because you say the words first and then your emotional reality changes. You say, well, fucking I'm really happy for you, and then, okay, cool. Sometimes you might feel it instantaneously in the moment, that's fine, but you speak the words first. So high self-esteem is very important, because otherwise they won't be able to celebrate your wins with you. And the derivative of that is wanting you to win. So many men have friends that don't want to see them win. How are you going to feel good about yourself? How are you going to walk around this world confidently if your immediate environment is trying to attack you? If the girl doesn't want to see you win, if the lady doesn't want to see you win, you need to have people who want to see you win at the highest levels. That's one. Now, self-esteem is one qualification criteria. When it comes to values, you have to be aligned. Core values, they have to be the same. Whatever your values is, we have differing values here, that's fine. But on your core values, you have to be aligned. We basically never argue about core values. Almost never. We have discussions. Obviously, sometimes we have a little bit of un poquito, but it's not about core values. Compatibility regarding values means the same. Compatibility regarding personality does not mean the same. She's 98% introverted. I'm 90-something% extroverted. Still works. Yeah, so compatibility regarding values means it should be the same. So being compatible in terms of values means the same. But being compatible in terms of personality does not mean you necessarily have to have the same personalities. We have very different personalities, which is great. She's the water, I'm the fire. That's a very good one, because people say this, opposites attract. In terms of personalities, not in terms of values. Because if you have opposing values, you might have a little bit of polarization in the moment, because I'm in my masculine, you're in your feminine, fair enough, but that won't make for long-term compatibility. Love languages, who here has heard of love languages? Who knows all the 5 love languages? Somebody knows them? So one of them, it's very important that if you have, this is more for the relationship later on, but this also matters for male friends. For example, he likes gifts. I couldn't give a fuck about gifts. It took me a couple of years to understand that if I want to make him feel loved, he better get a fucking gift. I don't give a shit about gifts. For me, it's physical touch and words of affirmation. If she touches me and she tells me I'm awesome, I'm like, I love you. It's that simple. I'm so proud of you. Yeah, I'm so proud of you. Exactly, I'm fucking working there on this fucking mind map bleeding out of my eyes. She's like, I'm so proud of you. Do you know how different that is? Who here's ever been in a relationship where he got shit from the other person for working too much? Yeah, exactly, it's amazing. Like I'm sitting there and then she sits on my lap, she goes, I'm so proud of you. I was like, oh, nice. Validation. When shit goes bad, you want a woman who'll tell you got this, but you can never depend on that. You can never ask for her certainty. One of the things that's gonna turn her off like nothing else is demanding the solution from her. If you have an issue in your life, you gotta fix it first. Can you ask her for your opinion, for input on how to solve it? Of course. Are you gonna try to solve it together because you're the best team? Of course. But you have this attitude of I'm gonna find a way or I'm gonna make a way. You can never, this is one of the things that turns women off the fastest, taking certainty from her. Expecting her to bring the certainty to the relationship. That's our job as men. We need to create certainty when there isn't any. How much certainty is there really in life? It's really probabilities. There isn't any ultimate certainty. There isn't any ultimate certainty regarding your health. There isn't any ultimate certainty, but we create it. For example, by using our bodies a certain way, by having beliefs, and by simply saying the word. Because the only thing you have in this world as a man is your word and your ability to back it up. You say something and then it comes true. Are we perfect? No, we're all gonna make mistakes. But if you say something and then you make it come true, over years and years and years, you build a reputation. And then people and women learn to trust you and they respect you for it. So physical touch, words of affirmations, gifts, quality time, acts of service. Exactly, the last one, acts of service. When you're with somebody, you better know what their love language is, otherwise they won't feel loved. Because you need to give love in the way they want to receive it, not in the way you want to give it. And it's with men as well. Now, you don't necessarily need to be touching your bros too much, unless you're into that. But that being said, hugs are also really, really important. If you hug your best friends, there's an instant oxytocin release, even with a handshake. These things matter. The next one, sexual compatibility. So regarding sexual compatibility, one of the first things is sex drive. How high is your sex drive? And I don't expect anybody to give an answer, you just have to be aware of what yours is. Is it every day? Is it once a week? Is it a couple of times a week? What's your ideal? If her sex drive is such that she wants to fuck twice a month and you want to fuck every day, the relationship is destined to fail. Are there things that are going to increase her attraction for you? Of course, 100%. The way you communicate, for example. For sure. But naturally, some people have higher and lower sex drives. Next one, open-mindedness. Different people require different degrees of open-mindedness. Chemistry, very important. You can have sex with very beautiful women and the sex can be completely boring. And the other way around. Ideally, you need both. You all have different things. For all of the people here who dance, you eventually realize that you kind of need a woman who moves smoothly, yeah? It's very difficult to be with a woman who's stiff at some point. Isn't it difficult to be with a woman who just can't dance anymore? It doesn't necessarily mean that she has to be an amazing dancer, but potential for dancing? And that's individual to all of you. But just you better be aware of that. If we're talking about a life partner here, you better aim for the highest level of compatibility possible. The next one is passion. How passionate do you need her to be? Her skills. I would encourage you, that's up to you. Some men require more skills than others. I would encourage you to not expect too much of a skill. It's better to have a woman that you can teach something than for her to bring this whole array of skills and you're like, where the fuck did you learn that? But it's up to you. Next one is respect. It's little things like, how does she move with you? Is she respectful of you or is she dismissive? Like warm. That also plays, I mean, that's an overall attitude that's going to manifest in the sexual context as well. But it's important that rough versus soft. Most women like both, but some really don't like rough. If you like it like that and she doesn't at all, that's going to be a problem. Shame, very big one. How much shame does she feel around the subject of sex? If she feels a lot and you don't any, that can be an issue. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't help her heal that. But this is an absolute key lesson. When you're dating women, date them for who they are right now, not for who they can become. People don't really change unless they attend places like this. Can we change? Of course. But most people will never change because they're not even aware. Oh yeah, but she's so great. Maybe I think we can make it work in the long term. Trying to make it work is the biggest recipe for disaster. Love her for how she is right now. She's most likely not gonna get better in a lot of ways. She might, and there's definitely things to work on, but if you need something to improve for you to be happy with her, it's fucked. So if she feels incredibly guilty around the whole subject, it's difficult. Last one, size. Size is always relative, guys. It's not about the size of the ship, but about the motion of the ocean. It really matters, because if it doesn't, you will not be able to satisfy her. Are you gonna whip out that big dildo? Don't use toys. I'm not sure if I've ever heard somebody say that. Oh, toys. Anybody think toys are a good idea, by the way? Fine, just never use any that are bigger than your dick. It's so funny, I made that post and I said you shouldn't use toys, and one guy goes, cool, can you vibrate though? So that sexual compatibility really, really matters. And that's, by the way, because I've had clients over the years who are so religious they don't want to have sex before marriage, and that's perfectly fine, and I absolutely respect that, no problem. But I do say, you're taking a fucking gamble. And then they always say, yeah, but we can do some things. Yeah, but I get it. But until it's actually been in there, you won't know. Because if you don't know what's happening and then you sign up for life and then the sex sucks, well, sex is an important part of the relationship. It's not the most important part, but it's a part. So you better aim for compatibility. How do you qualify for compatibility? It's not necessarily by putting her through an interview and by asking a lot of questions because you're going to bore her. So you can't say, so what's your sex drive and your values and your personality? Happen to have any trauma regarding your mother or father? All right, okay. That won't be the most enjoyable date for her. So what you want to do is you want to express strong opinions. There's a lot of ways, and we've covered a lot of that in module 5 and 6. But one of the ways is to express a strong opinion. Women love it when men express a strong opinion. I hate, I love. Everyone here, every one of you has opinions that are not politically correct. If voiced, it would pardon the sea. Every single one here has opinions about politics or religions or some values that where if you were to speak them, you'd naturally find, even within these people, your people. And some people will be pretty pissed off. And that's fine, because we don't need to go against each other. So in Germany, we're a little bit less ideological. So I'm not putting myself on this side or on that side. I definitely have tendencies, but I say these values are great, these values are great. Why do I need to attack the person? Can I not separate the person from the idea? That's what we need to be able to do. Because what, do you want to eliminate 50% of society? No. But when it comes to your close best friends, you better agree on most things. And the way you do that is you shamelessly communicate what you actually believe in at the right point in time. Not at work, because you're paid to shut up. Part of your salary comes for not sharing your opinions so that the machine operates smoothly. There are certain environments, like a funeral perhaps, where you wouldn't want to share your most impolitically correct opinions either. But in your social life, stop filtering yourself. Communicate what you believe authentically. You already believe it anyway, it's going to come out at some point. You can only hide it for so long. And guess what? If Fernando and I were to disagree on the most fundamental values, would we be here now 4 years later? No. Do you think your next business partner, your next male best friend, this amazing woman, you're really going to disagree on these things? Be unapologetic. Be unashamed. Now don't be an asshole about it. You don't need to walk around the street and force your opinions on people. But when you're in a social environment, communicate what you actually believe in. Because what's going to happen is you're going to part the Red Sea. Most men communicate like lukewarm water. And what you should be doing is you should be Moses parting the Red Sea. Most men, they're trying so bad to get along with everybody. And there's a difference between truly wishing people at their core the best and trying to make things work. That's going to suck so much of your energy, keeping that facade, keeping that nice guy facade of, oh, I'm trying to make it work, and oh yeah. You feel when you're not yourself. You feel, when we're doing this, didn't you feel congruent in yourself? Like, and it's like, hey, yeah, nice to meet you, yeah. When you're around people where you have to walk on eggshells, either you're not in your masculinity enough, or there's a lack of compatibility, probably both. So communicate what you actually believe in, because it's going to come out sooner rather than later. One of the best ways to qualify for it. Confidence. Who here is confident in their job or their business? Why? Proven track record, knows what you're doing, proven track record. Exactly. You're competent. Confidence comes from competence. If you're good at what you're doing, you're confident. If you lack confidence with women, you don't know what you're doing. Simple as. You don't know enough. I have thousands of personal reference experiences to look back on. Thousands of interactions. Over the years, I have the meta view of having done it with so many of you guys. So there's a degree of experience that comes from that. Do you need that much experience to be able to handle an individual relationship well? No, absolutely not. But if you're not confident enough, and there's 3 sources of confidence, kind of 4, we're going to look at. Competence isn't the only one, but it's the most fundamental one. If you're truly competent at something, you're confident. And confidence is neither loud nor quiet. Confidence just is. You can be very charismatic and loud in a way and be confident, or you can be very quiet and confident. Confidence is neither loud nor quiet. It's the knowledge that you know your shit, that if a situation arises, you'll know how to handle it. And even if a new situation arises, you'll know how to handle that because you've worked with new situations in this particular context. So confidence is context-specific competence. So by learning how to, like a lot of you are doing, you develop the skills of how do I reach the hook point? How do I build attraction? By learning how to do all that in detail and by learning how to qualify, you become competent. That competence makes you more confident in turn. And the more confident you become, the more you engage with the subject matter because you're actually enjoying it, and therefore you're more competent you become. It spirals upwards. First source. Second source, okay, I'm going to talk about the second source last because then we can actually build an exercise around it. Second source is osmosis. By being around people who are negative, you become more negative. Who here has a really funny friend? Every time you spend time with them, you just laugh a little bit more, you become a little bit more funny? Somebody has somebody like that? Isn't that fucking awesome? Who here, just out of curiosity, this is a genuine question, who here sometimes has it where before you're about to meet that particular friend, you're kind of in a bit of a grumpy and serious mood, and you're actually looking forward to meeting them, but you kind of think to yourself, there's no way he's going to be able to make me laugh today? Anybody ever had that thought where you're like, oh, I'm a little bit grumpy? Because I frequently have that. One of the guys is going to come here today, funny as fuck. Sometimes I'm just like in a mood where I'm like, oh, fucking getting shit done. Like in a serious, in a getting shit done mood. It's like, no way he can make me laugh today. 20 seconds, I'm in bits. Anybody's had that? It rubs off. So we can systematically infuse our life with happiness. There's a hypno-systemic component to happiness. There are the internal components, focus, physiology, language patterns, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And there's the external. Having an amazing woman in your life, is that going to make you more or less happy? Obviously more. Having friends who are really funny and great and awesome, is that going to make you more or less happy? More happy. If you see them regularly, they can't just be international, by the way. They have to be local. You want to have a global network, but you also have to have a local network because you need to see these people on a weekly basis. And simply by being around people who, they've actually done studies that if you're around other men who have high testosterone, your testosterone increases. By watching men compete, and competition means a lot of different things. It can be business, can mean physical, can mean women, your testosterone increases. That's the beautiful thing about going out and approaching women. If you don't drink alcohol, you'll feel amazing the next day because your testosterone is higher. Because Andrew Huberman says even just the pursuit of sex boosts testosterone. And while it's obviously not just sex that you're pursuing, it's personal growth and all the spiritual competence associated with it. It's really also that. Your testosterone goes up with it. So osmosis. Simply by being around people who's got the shit handled, you become more confident. Third out of fourth is it's a decision. You can also just decide to be confident. Little secret. You can literally just make confidence up. Not in a realm of expertise, but towards life. I can't fake confidence in terms of building MacBooks because the first time I'm going to get put to the test, well, I don't know how to deal with that. But you can literally just decide to become more confident towards life. Because imagine this. Imagine somebody from a different galaxy is looking down upon Earth, or from Mars is looking down upon Earth. Do you think the Martians give a fuck whether or not you live confident? Whether we live confident, that's a choice. We just choose it. Because think about it. We have so many seemingly good reasons to not be confident as fuck. But does anybody actually benefit from you not living life in a confident way? from having your shoulders tucked down, speaking a little bit more quietly, playing small. There's a beautiful saying, your playing small doesn't serve the world. Because you playing big doesn't mean you want other people to be small. You want them to come up with you. Because if we actually all elevate together, the world would be a much better place. Like genuinely. It needs truly confident people. Not people who pretend to be confident on the outside and then fucking insecure on the inside. And insecurity always has a destructive element to it. But raising people up really, really makes a difference. And if you really think, okay, there are Martians on Mars right now that are looking on Earth. Do they give a fuck whether I live confident or not? But you'll be better off if you walk around thinking you're the man. That doesn't mean that you don't take any feedback from the outside. Because confidence, on the one hand, comes from being grounded in your own beliefs. Of course, having a degree of certainty. And ignoring negative feedback. But we can't ignore all the negative feedback because we still have to live in objective reality. So if somebody points out a flaw that I have, a friend of mine, you can take that seriously and you can say thank you. One of the best hacks to not let failure or negative feedback disempower you is to identify with being the learner as opposed to the knower. Most people in life, they identify with, oh, I already know. Therefore, if you point out I'm wrong, my ego gets triggered. Tom Billy says this. It's very important. One of the fastest ways to get forward in life, somebody points out something that you're wrong. Great, cool, I'm learning. I'm the one who learns. I don't need to know shit. It's fine. But I know I can learn. You already know plenty of things. You already have plenty of things to be proud of, 20 reasons we might do later, right? Really understanding that, oh, somebody points out something that I don't know. Okay, awesome, thank you so much, I didn't know. Somebody tells you that you made a mistake. Hey, that wasn't cool what you did. Okay, I'm sorry. Doesn't mean you need to apologize for something that you didn't do wrong, but apologizing quickly, something we're going to talk about later as well. It's really, really key that you make a decision. Because if you don't decide to live confident every day, insecurity is naturally going to manifest itself because your brain is naturally going to focus on what's wrong. Because your brain is bombarded with thousands or hundreds of thousands of data points every single day. To differentiate what makes it into the prefrontal cortex, the conscious mind, it has to group things into opportunities and threats. Basically when it's important enough, and things become important when they're an opportunity or a threat. An opportunity can only be so good. There's only so much happiness and fortune that I can experience. But a threat can mean death. So our brain's job is to help us survive, not to make us happy. Our brain left to its own devices is going to make us sad by itself. That's the job, but we'll survive. So it's not working against us, it's working for us because we're surviving. But if we want to be happy, we need to assume responsibility for that. So part of that is making a decision. Every day I'm going to walk around like a confident motherfucker because I want everybody else to feel the same. It's not me better than you. It's not me, haha. And that's what you see a lot of this, in a lot of this red pill culture. And I'm not going to name any names, but a lot of these people, I'm here, you're here. That's not what it is. I'm confident as fuck and I want every single one of you to be. The last source of confidence, I got that from Gunther Schmidt as well, and other people, because the most brilliant minds on the planet who I've learned from, not all, but some, they all agree on this. Confidence, as much as it's competence dependent, it's also a mental and emotional state. It is something that you can create in the moment. Didn't you feel more confident after that little jumping up and down? So fast. There's no alcohol necessary. Do that shit and then approach. Hey, excuse me, 2 seconds. It didn't work. It doesn't work. Take it. Bring your energy up like that. That's not the only thing. The words really, really matter. Anybody here heard this bullshit study that words only make up 6% of communication? That study is complete bullshit and it's not true. It actually only holds true at the extreme when people are shouting at each other. When I'm shouting at you! I'm shouting back! Exactly. Good, nice, I like that. Then the words don't necessarily matter because you can't even perceive them. But words, imagine if I, totally calmly, hey, nice to meet you.
Yo. Nice to meet you as well.
Your haircut sucks.
Oh.
No, that wasn't disrespectful. I was just teasing you. Can you see how a tease can become an insult very fucking quickly? A lot of you guys insult women without even knowing. So words matter a lot more. But before the words is the energy. Confidence is a mental and emotional state. And we don't have a flipboard, do we? Just imagine this, okay? Imagine a triangle, and it's Tony Robbins' model. And Gunther Schmidt in Germany talks about that. It's really brilliant. All the brilliant minds agree. One of the first things that creates confidence is what we focus on. Let me ask you this. If you focus on whether or not you're going to get rejected, does that make you feel more or less confident? If you're like, what if I get rejected? Less confident. Because I'm focusing on something that's outside of the realm of my immediate control. Whenever you focus on something, write this down. We all know this intellectually, but it's not about what we've once heard, but it's what we're practicing on a daily basis. Whenever you experience stress, you're focusing on something that you can't control. If you actually let that sink in, that's really, really powerful. And you've all heard that before. Whenever you're stressed, other than it being physiological, which we're going to talk about later, and you're going to get strategies for physiology, it's because of something you're focusing on. Oh, what if she rejects me? What if people don't like me? What if Tommy at work says blah, 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 blah. You can be in a relationship with somebody and everything's fine. Just by you're bored. You're not engaged with life. By the way, most of the destructive thoughts you have happen when you're not engaged with life, when you're fucking bored, when you should be doing something productive or entertaining or loving. You're thinking, oh, she once fucked a man. Just by putting that image in your head, you're like, I don't like that. Anybody notice a slight change emotionally? If you're actually doing it, you'll feel it. What we focus on, we're going to feel.